Well, hello, my sweets. How are y'all today? So I'm just sitting here enjoying the fireplace. It's kind of rainy and cold outside, too cold and wet to play outside. So I chose to stay inside today. I thought we'd read today out of the 20th century children's book, Treasury. Specifically, Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. So this is on page 125. So if you want to go ahead and get your books and get ready, we'll read the book together. So Sylvester and the Magic Pebble, written and illustrated by William Steig in 1969. Long time ago. Sylvester Duncan lived with his mother and father at Acorn Road in Oakdale. One of his hobbies was collecting pebbles of unusual shapes and colors. Do you ever do that? Collect rocks and stuff and bring it in for your mom? I like rocks. On a rainy, try again. Well, hello, sweet babies. How are y'all today? It's Yaya here with Story Time with Yaya and Papa Moon. It's a kind of cold, wet, rainy day outside, so I thought I'd sit by the fireplace and read you a couple of stories. Now, there's some things I want you to do every single day. Find the beauty in everything that you do every day. When you wake up and you're in a grumpy mood, find something beautiful or something silly to do or to watch. One of the things that I saw this morning was there was a little black duck sitting on a stump in the water with one leg up and one leg down. And he was bending over in such a way, it looked like he was doing yoga poses for ducks. I was giggling this morning with my coffee watching him. But it was a beautiful thing to see, and it was silly. That's what life is about. No matter what the day is, if it's cold and wet outside or what's going on, to find beauty in everything that you do and everything that you see. So, okay, let's get to it. So today I'm going to be reading out of the 20th century children's book, Treasury. So everybody grab their books, and on page 125, you will find Sylvester and the Magic Pebble, written and illustrated by William Steig in 1969, a very long time ago. So are you ready? All right, here we go. Sylvester Duncan lived with his mother and father at Acorn Road in Oakdale. One of his hobbies was collecting pebbles of unusual shapes and colors. Do you ever collect rocks? I know I do. On a rainy Saturday during vacation, he found a quite extraordinary one. It was a flaming red, shiny and perfectly round, kind of like a marble. As he was studying this remarkable pebble, he began to shiver, probably from excitement, and the rain felt cold on his back. I wish it would stop raining, he said. To his great surprise, the rain stopped. It didn't stop gradually, as rains usually do. It just ceased. The drops vanished on the way down, the clouds disappeared, everything was dry, and the sun was shining as if the rain had never existed. So there's Sylvester. Sylvester's a donkey, and there's his mom and dad watching him. In all of his young life, Sylvester had never had a wish granted so quickly. It struck him that magic must be at work, and he guessed that magic must be in the remarkable-looking red pebble, where indeed it was. To make a test, he put the pebble on the ground and said, "I wish it would rain again." Nothing happened. But when he said the same thing holding the pebble in his hand, or in his hoof, the sky turned black. There were lightning and a clap of thunder, and the rain came shooting down. What a lucky day this is, thought Sylvester. From now on, I can have anything I want. My father and mother can have anything they want. My relatives, my friends, and anybody at all can have everything everybody wants. He wished the sunshine back in the sky again, and he wished a wart on his left hind footlock would disappear. And it did. The wart went away. And he started home, eager to amaze his father and mother with his magic pebble. He could hardly wait to see their faces, but maybe they wouldn't even believe him at first. As he was crossing Strawberry Hill, thinking of some of the many things he was going to wish for, he was startled to see a mean, hungry lion looking right at him from behind some tall grass. He was very frightened. If he hadn't been so frightened, he could have made the lion disappear, and he would have wished himself safe at home with his father's mother. He could have wished the lion would turn into a butterfly or a daisy or a gnat. He could have wished many things, but he panicked, and all he could think, he couldn't think very carefully. And he said, "I wish I were a rock." So he became a rock. The lion came bounding over and sniffed at the rock 100 times, walked around it, and finally went away confused, perplexed, and puzzled and bewildered. "I saw that little donkey as clear as day. Maybe I'm going crazy," he muttered. And there was Sylvester, a rock on Strawberry Hill, with the magic pebble laying right beside him on the rock, and he wasn't able to pick it up because he didn't have any hooves. "Oh, how I wish I were myself again," he thought, but nothing happened. He had to be touching the pebble to make the magic work, but there was nothing he could do about it. His thoughts began to race like mad. He was scared and he was worried. Being helpless, he felt hopeless. He imagined all the possibilities, and eventually he realized that his only chance of becoming himself again was for someone to find the red pebble and to wish that the rock next to him would be a donkey. Someone would surely find the red pebble. It was so bright and shiny. But what on earth would make them want to wish that a rock were a donkey? The chance was 1 in a billion at best. Sylvester fell asleep. What else could he do? Night came and there were many stars. Meanwhile, back at home, Mr. and Mrs. Duncan paced the floor. They were frantic with worry. Sylvester had never come home late for dinner before. Where could he be? They stayed up all night, wondering and worrying what had happened, expecting that Sylvester would turn up by morning. But of course he didn't. Mr. Duncan cried a lot. Mrs. Duncan cried a lot, and Mr. Duncan did his best to soothe her. Both longed to have that dear son with them. "I will never scold Sylvester again as long as I live," said Mrs. Duncan, "no matter what he does if he comes home." At dawn, they went about the neighborhood, inquiring of all the neighbors. They talked to all the children, the puppies, the kittens, the colts, the piglets. No one had seen Sylvester since the day before yesterday. They went to the police. The police could not find their child. All of the dogs in Oatsdale were searching for him. They sniffed behind every rock and tree and every blade of grass, into every nook and gully of the neighborhood and beyond, but found no scent of him. They sniffed the rock on Strawberry Hill, but it just smelled like a rock. It didn't smell like Sylvester. After a month of searching the same places over and over and over again, inquiring of the same animals over and over again, Mr. and Mrs. Duncan no longer knew what to do. They concluded that something dreadful must have happened and that they would probably never see their son again. Though all this time he was less than a mile away as a rock on Strawberry Hill. They tried their best to be happy, to go on about their usual ways, but their usual ways always included Sylvester, and they were always reminded of him in everything they did. They were miserable. Life had no meaning for any of them anymore. Night followed day, and day followed night, over and over again. Sylvester on the hill woke up less and less often. When he was awake, he was only hopeless and unhappy. He felt like he would be a rock forever, and he tried to get used to it. He went into an endless sleep. The days grew colder. Fall came and the leaves changed colors. Then the leaves fell and the grass bent to the ground. Then it was winter. The winds blew this way and that way. It snowed. Mostly the animals stayed inside, living on the food that they had stored. One day, a wolf sat on the rock that was Sylvester and howled and howled and howled because he was hungry. Then the snows melted, the earth warmed up in the spring, and sun and things started to bud. Leaves were on trees again, flowers showed their young faces. One day in May, Mr. Duncan insisted that his wife go with him on a picnic. "Let's cheer her up," he said. "Let us try to live again and be happy, even though Sylvester, our angel, is no longer with us." So they walked to Strawberry Hill. Mr. Duncan sat down on the rock. The warmth of his own mother sitting on him woke Sylvester up from his deep winter sleep. How he wanted to shout, Mother, Father, it's me, Sylvester. I'm right here. But he couldn't talk. He had no voice. He was a dumb stone. Mr. Duncan walked aimlessly about while Miss Duncan set out their picnic food on the rock. Alfalfa sandwiches and pickled oats, sassafras salad, Timothy compote. Suddenly, Mr. Duncan saw the red pebble. "What a fantastic pebble!" he exclaimed. Sylvester would have loved it for his collection. He put the pebble on the rock. They sat down to eat. Sylvester was now wide awake, as a donkey that was a rock could possibly be. Mrs. Duncan felt some mysterious excitement inside. "You know, Father," she said suddenly, "I have the strangest feeling that our dear Sylvester is alive and not far away." I am, shouted Sylvester. But nobody could hear him because he was a rock. If only he had realized that the pebble resting on his back was the magic pebble. "Oh, how I wish he were here with us on this lovely May day," said Mrs. Duncan. Mr. Dunn looked sadly at the ground. "Don't you wish it too, Father? How can you ask such a question?" He looked at her. Mr. and Mrs. Duncan looked at each other with great sorrow and sadness. "I wish I were myself again. I wish I were myself again," thought Sylvester. And in that very instant, he was. You can imagine the scene that followed. The embraces, the kisses, the questions, the answers, the loving looks, and the fond explanations. When they had eventually calmed down a bit and had gotten home, Mr. Duncan put the magic pebble in an iron safe. Someday they might want to use it, but really for now, what else could they wish for? They all had what they wanted more than anything. That was a good story. Do you ever wish for things? Do you ever wish that you had a pretty bike or pretty shoes or a bigger house or a faster scooter or something like that? It's kind of fun to wish. But every time you wish for something, you have to realize, be happy with what you have right now. Just like Sylvester. He wanted all these things, and it turned out all he really wanted was to be loved by his family. So, well, I really enjoyed it, guys. Still a little raining out there, so find something to do the rest of the day. Maybe some yoga, do some jumping jacks in place, a little dance party. Just be active. Remember, find something beautiful in every moment and every day. Mwah. Love y'all. See you later.